Okay, so today we're going to learn about standard deviation, and we're going to review some old things before we do that. So first, let's review what we already know about mean, median, mode, and range. Okay, so the mean is the average, so you just add up all the values and divide by how many there are. The median is the middle number when values are listed least to greatest. The mode is the most frequent number, so that's the number that comes up the most. And then the range is max minus min. Okay, so if we have the following list of numbers, let's find the mean, median, mode, and range. So it gives us this list. So doing this in the graphing calculator, you go to stat, you go to edit, and then you're going to enter 2, 3, 5, 7, 8, 10, 11, 11, 13, oops, 15, 17, 18. And then you're going to go to stat, you're going to go over to calc, and you're going to press enter for 1-bar stats. I have to press enter a few more times, you might not have to. Okay, so it tells us that the mean is 10, so x bar, x with the bar over top, it's called x bar, that's 10. Your median is 10.5. It doesn't give us the mode, but we can see that the mode is 11 because that comes up the most frequent. And then the range, it doesn't give us the range, but 18 minus 2 is 16. Okay. Next, we're going to learn about something called standard deviation. So standard deviation, I want you to write down this formula. I'll write it up here because this is where we have room. Standard deviation formula. Okay. It's sigma, it's a Greek letter, equals the square root of, this is a sum sign. This is the capital letter for sigma. It means sum. It looks kind of like a E, I guess, sort of. Parentheses x minus x bar squared. So it's the quantity of all of your x values minus the mean and then squared divided by n. Okay, so that's the formula for standard deviation. So if we look at these values, while these values do tell us a lot about the list, it does not tell us much about how far apart the numbers are from each other. To do this, we need to calculate what is the standard deviation. So the standard deviation, what that is, it's the average distance of all the numbers from the mean. Okay, so basically the standard deviation is you're finding the distance from all of your data values to the mean. So for instance, if you do 2 minus 10, that's -8, so 8 apart, right? So you would do that for every single value, and then it's the average of all of that, basically. But you also have to take the square root. It's kind of weird. It's a little bit different than mean absolute deviation. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take this list of numbers, and we're going to find standard deviation longhand, and then I'll teach you how to do it in the graphing calculator. So what you can do is you could just turn your paper over and do it on the back of this paper. Okay, so what I want you to do is copy down this list, same list we used before, write the formula. Theta equals the square root of the sum of quantity x minus x bar squared divided by n. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to make a table. So I listed all of my values, and then I'm going to do x minus x bar next. So that's the value minus the mean. So remember, we found the mean is 10 for this. Okay, so 2 minus 10 is -8. 3 minus 10 is -7. 5 minus 10 is negative 5. 7 minus 10 is negative 3. 8 minus 10 is negative 2. 10 minus 10 is 0. 11 minus 10 is 1. 11 minus 10 is 1. 13 minus 10 is 3. 15 minus 10 is 5. 17 minus 10 is 7. And 18 minus 10 is 8. So basically I just took all of my values and I subtracted the mean, which we found earlier. The mean of these numbers is 10. Okay, now what you do is you take these values that you got here and you square them. X minus x bar squared. So negative 8 squared is 64. Negative 7 squared is 49. Negative 5 squared is 25. Negative 3 squared is 9. Negative 2 squared is 4. 0, 1, 1, 9, 25, 49, 64. Okay? Now what you need to do is you need to take all of these values, okay? When you take all of these values, that's here, this is this. We need to take the sum of them, okay? So what you're gonna do is you're gonna add up all these values. So when you add up all of these values, you're going to get 300. Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna divide by the number of values that there are. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 values. So you're gonna divide that by 12, and that equals 25. 300 divided by 12 is 25. The last step is to take the square root of that. So the square root of 25 is 5. So your standard deviation is 5, okay? So what that means is that all of your data values are on average about 5 data values away from the mean. That's on average how far all of your values are from the mean, okay? So now what we have to do is I'm going to show you how to do that in the calculator. So go back to stat, edit. So we still have our values in there, so we don't have to retype them in, we're all good. Now you're gonna press stat, you're gonna arrow over to calc, 1 bar stats, enter, enter, enter. Now in this list, you're gonna see a few different things. You're going to see your mean, you're gonna see the sum of all your values, which is 120. That's not the sum of all the values though. I don't know, that's weird. Okay. The sum of x squared, sx. Sx, we will use this sometimes, not often. Sx is your sample standard deviation. We're doing population standard deviation. So sample standard deviation would be like, let's say I collected this data. Let's say I collected like 500 values. And then I said, I'm just going to take 10 of them. I'm just going to take a sample of them. And then we'll find the standard deviation of that. We're not going to do it for all the values. That would be sample standard deviation. We're doing sigma x, population standard deviation, because we have all of our values that we need. Like this is all of the values, okay? That's why we're doing population standard deviation. Oh, and I just realized, I don't know why I got confused. Sum x is 120. We found the sum is 300, but that's because we found the sum of x minus x bar is 300. I don't even know what I was thinking. Okay. Anyways, you're going to look at theta x for your standard deviation in the graphing calculator, which is 5, which is what we found when we did it longhand. Okay, now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you another list of numbers. So 2, 3, 4, 6, 9, 10, 12, 14, 16. Okay, and we're going to find all this information. We're going to find our mean, our standard deviation, our median, and our range. So first you're going to type in all of your values, go to stat, edit. To clear out your values, you go arrow up, clear, and then arrow back down. If you accidentally delete your L1 column, that'll happen sometimes, you can just go to stat and then go down to setup editor and press enter, and then press enter again, and then it'll get you back to normal, okay? Because that happens sometimes. All right, so type in all your values. 2, enter, 3, enter, 4, enter, 6, 9, 10, 12, 14, 16. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Now what you're going to do is you're going to press stat, arrow over to calc, 1var stats, enter, enter, enter. Okay, so we have our x bar is 8.444, so 8.4 about. We have theta x, which, not theta, sorry, sigma x, which is your standard deviation. Your standard deviation is about 4.7. Median is about 9. Range it doesn't give us in the graphing calculator, so our range, our highest value is 16, our lowest value is 2, so our range is 16 minus 2, which is 14. Okay. And then it says, what does the standard deviation mean in this case? So what it means is the numbers are an average of 4.72 units away, or 4.7 is about 4.72 units away from the mean. Okay, let's do one more together. Number 12, answer each question. So what we're going to do is we're going to type in these values. So go to stat, edit, up, clear, down, 123, 100, 111, 124, 132, 154, 132, 160. Okay, stat, over to calc, enter, enter, enter. Okay, so our mean is 129.5. Our median is 128. Our standard deviation, sigma x, is 18.8. And our range, it doesn't give us, but 160 minus 100 is our lowest value, is 60. What does the standard deviation mean in this case? The numbers in the list are an average of 18.8 units away from the mean. Okay, so what you're going to do for homework is you're going to do all of these 4 problems. It really shouldn't take that long because you can use a graphing calculator. I don't want you to do this longhand. It's going to take you forever, okay? When I was in school, we had to just do it longhand. It was awful, but we have graphing calculators, so we might as well use them, okay? So use your graphing calculator. If for some reason you don't have a graphing calculator, you didn't download the emulator, or it didn't work for you, I'll put up some type of link that you can use to find standard deviation as well, okay? But if you have this or the emulator, that's what you should be using. Only use the links if that's like your last resort type of thing. All right, have a good day.